Here is an important keyword to use with your variables in C++. This is a trick you can do with your variables if you want to make sure that the variable will never ever change the value that it has inside of it. Like if you have your int x and it has 8 and you want to make sure throughout the whole program that x will always have 8 and that later on you will never succeed in giving x something else than what it already has, and this is actually very useful because your program is going to become very big and probably spread across many files, and at some point in the program later on you may forget what is this x and that it's supposed to stay the same number forever, and you might want to try to assign something else to x when really you wanted it to stay with 8 throughout the whole program. So to guarantee that it will never change what it has in its value, all you have to do is just add the const keyword before the type specifier of your variable. The const keyword, which stands for constant, will make sure that whatever variable you're creating over here will always keep that very same number that you are giving it during creation. So you have to make sure to give it an actual number, an actual something, right at creation, because you can't like do const int x and then give something to x, because the only time you can give something to x which is constant is only at its creation. After that, that's the whole thing, is that you can never again assign something else to the variable x. If you try to do that, you will not be able to compile your program. You'll get an error that says you cannot assign to a variable that is const. And of course this is the same for your integer, for all your integer types like unsigned short and stuff like that, and your character variables and your floats and all your variables. All you have to do is add const before, and that will make sure that whatever you give it right away, that then and there, will stay its value throughout the whole program. Next up, let's learn about a new type of variable you can use in your program. This is the bool variable, which stands for the word boolean. And here, let's give it a name for this one. And it's a very weird variable type because the only type of stuff you can put in there, like an integer could have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 0 and a whole bunch of stuff, but the only thing you can put in a boolean variable is either true or false. This is a very useful variable when, for example, in your program you will want to store a way to remember different stuff like, is the player alive or did the player die? Or did the mission complete or is the mission still running? Or did the player press the W key or did he not press the W key? So for stuff like this, you may want to use the boolean variable, which you may want to call something like W key, and then if the player pressed W key, you will set this variable to true, and then later on you will check the W key variable and you will see that yes, it has been pressed by the player, or if it wasn't pressed, then you would give it false. So this is very useful for information that's not a number or a letter, but it's just a true or false matter if you want to know if something is or isn't true, if something happened or if something didn't happen, and stuff like that. Now here's a few cool things to know about the boolean type of variable. Instead of typing false, you can just type 0, and that will be the very same effect as typing false. and instead of typing true, you could type anything which is not 0. So you can have like 1 will be exactly like true, or 2 or 3 or 4, or even -1, -2, negative numbers. Anything that's not 0 is exactly like typing true. So it's clearer if you could just use the true and false keywords, but sometimes it will be necessary to use like the 0 or the other types of numbers to be able to make it true or false, as we will see later on. And of course, like any good variable type, you can make this constant. So if, for example, you are programming a cheat code which makes you always be alive, then you would probably want to make it constant, and this will make sure that you will always be alive so that your cheat code works. Just like this. Now, this variable alive will always be true, and you will never be able to set alive to anything else, even true again, or of course not 0 or false, because it is constant, and a constant variable cannot be assigned to anymore. Now back to our math lessons. It could happen to you many times throughout your program that you will need to you will pretty much not know at all what is inside your variable. It could be at the beginning of the program you know very well that it has 9, but later on, a lot later on throughout the program, you may lose track of what exactly is the precise number that it's holding. And that's pretty okay, because that's what variables are meant to do. You are making sure that your program will set up your variable so that it takes care of itself, whatever type of number it may be holding. But what if you need to do something like add whatever is inside x to the variable x itself plus 1, let's say. For example, let's say our program got very big now, and we don't know what x has. Really, at this point, x equals, let's say, 7. But we don't know that because we lost track of it. Now, at this point in the program, we know for sure that whatever is inside x, we want it to be that number plus 1. One complicated way to do it is to make first a different variable and give it what's inside x, and then assign h plus 1 to the variable x. If you're following along, you will see that what we are doing here is successfully making x, whatever it is, plus 1. Well, here's a trick. You can do this without making a whole extra variable. All you gotta do is tell x to assign itself to its own number plus 1. So it's pretty funny to be assigning x to x itself, but what we really want to do is have this expression over here which adds x plus 1 and give that whole results to x itself. For your convenience, C++ has a shortcut for doing exactly this, assigning a variable to itself plus something else, and that is the plus equals operator. Plus equals will take whatever's on the right and just add that to whatever is already in the variable. Not like the assignment operator, which throws away whatever is inside x. The plus equals will keep whatever is inside x and add to it 1 or 2 or a different variable. Whatever it is you need to add to the variable to the left, all you gotta do is use the plus equals operator, and that will take whatever is on the right, whatever expression is on the right, and add that to the variable that's on the left. Play around with it and check it out. Try to do a whole bunch of stuff and print it out on the screen. Oh, and while you're at it, try out the minus equals operator, multiplication equals, division equals, and the mod equals operator.